2, 3.
When you start to question the whole thing, it unwinds. Behold the great deception. Traversing throughout time. Do you dare to question if there's a grip upon your mind? Cause at the mere suggestion, it leaves you all entwined. I've been searching round for curvature, but there ain't none to see. No matter where I let my head turn, seems awfully flat to me. Will you start to question the shackles of your mind? If you let it open, you know there's truth inside. Have you been numbed into complacence, bred in circus to the end? It's time to claim your mental freedom. You know it's up to you, my friend. I've been searching round for curvature, but there ain't none to see. No matter where I let my head turn, seems awfully flat to me. The shackles of your mind. If you let it open, you know there's truth inside. Will you start to question the shackles of your mind? If you let it open,
what you're seeing here is a mirage. You typically would not be able to see this from the Lake Michigan shore. We talked about this last night. Conditions are right on the lake that we're actually seeing a mirage of the Chicago skyline. A mirage.
Hi everybody. How's my microphone? Hope you're all enjoying the pictures. Nice little mellow beginning to this this stream. I never get tired of looking at these because there's so much truth there to see, in my opinion. Good. All right. So I'll just let the music go in the background. Hopefully it's not disturbing. And yeah, so welcome. Got a different sort of a topic for you this evening, obviously, as you can tell by the thumbnail. And a little bit of music and little storytelling to kind of set the stage for the music and photographs that I'll be presenting as well. Yeah, so normally I have my Shilajit and chaga mushroom tea, but tonight I'm going with a little brandy. Carlos the First. This is something my buddy Alex likes to drink a fair amount of. Every once in a while I get him a bottle. And yeah, Alex is, he's not here as a guest, but you could say he's the guest of honor because he's the magic behind what I'm going to be playing for you later. Got a new song that's a really old song. We started on it in 2016. It's been 6 years. And we worked on 2 songs together after he finished remodeling his studio, or actually creating a new studio. He was working out of a little room in his house, and then he did a whole bunch of work to create a new studio. And he hadn't had the opportunity to be creative for quite a while because of all the remodeling and renovations, so he was itching to get started in his new studio, and we'd been hanging out for a while. And so we just started toying with lyrics a little bit, and he's such a master when it comes to so many different kinds of instruments and music production, so I got to kind of ride his coattails with a couple of songs, and one of them you heard here at the beginning called Question. And the next one that I'm going to play for you a little later is called Jingle, Jangled, and this is the first time it's ever been played in a public forum. So yeah, for those of you who don't know who I'm talking about Alex Michael, also known as the Conspiracy Music Guru. And let me see, this is almost done playing, so I'll just talk for a little bit more. Yeah, he and I met back in 2015. His wife started as a patient of mine. I'm a chiropractor, and then a short time later, he also started coming to me. But before that, I was putting together an art exhibition, and he and his wife went to the premiere of the exhibition, and he was just kind of taking in the artwork, and started talking to me after the fact about it when he was coming with his wife for a visit. And then we started to get on all kinds of different interesting topics. That man on the screen right there is Mike Alley. He's the man who most of those pictures are from that I just showed. He's got a channel called Hangman1128. If you're not familiar with it, I highly recommend you check it out because it's absolutely amazing. He's got hundreds of hours of footage on the ground with high definition cameras looking at the great trees and really showing that it's not just a myth, it's not just a fairy tale. These things actually existed. They were miles wide and on a size that is hard to even comprehend, really, unless you've actually started to take in the footage that he shares. So I put together just a whole bunch of screenshots of my favorite things that I'd seen from a number of his videos, and that's what you saw there in the beginning to the music. And what you should be seeing here on the screen now is just a bunch of the videos from Alex Michaels' channel. It's called Conspiracy Music Guru. He is, I think he might be Mozart reincarnated. I've heard a rumor they might even share the same birthday. But guy can do any style, and he does it all. He's got the most amazing skills when it comes to vocals, all kinds of different instruments, and music production, video production, you name it, he can do it. And some people think that it's a big conspiracy because nobody could possibly be that good. But I've watched him from the very, very beginning. And, you know, I mean, even when it comes to something like remodeling his own studio, he's got a video showing every step of the way. It's if you haven't gone through like every video on this channel, you ought to, because it's awesome. And I would start with the first one and work your way up. This is the oldest one, 5 years ago. NASA's faking everything. I'm not going to play it because he's got, you know, it's all copyright protected through I can't remember, TuneCore, I think. And so if I play any of his music, then I'll get notifications. So anyway, this was the first one he ever did, and it's fun because I'm proud to say that I was his very first subscriber and first commenter on his first video. So that was back in September 2017, and he did this song, NASA's Faking Everything. That was the first song he did after the two that we did. So you heard the first one that we did called Question. Second one I'll play later. And that one wasn't finished until today. We spent about 4 hours working on it yesterday after it's sitting on the shelf for 6 years. But I begged him to spend the time to help me finish it as best we could in the short time that we had, because I thought it was just the perfect song for Coronation Day. And I don't know about most of you who are in the chat, but if you are not lovers of monarchy, then this song will resonate with you, and you know, we would probably get along. I've never been a big fan of the concept of monarchy. I suppose it's in my blood as an American who, you know, grew up, you know, really cherishing the Declaration of Independence and the American Constitution and things like the Boston Tea Party and, you know, a whole bunch of different historical events that, for all I know, they may have been fabricated. It seems like history is, as Napoleon said, whether or not he existed, I don't know, but a set of lies agreed upon. And so apparently the Boston Tea Party happened because the British wanted to raise the tax on tea by 3%, and that was just too much for the Americans. And they're like, that's it. We're putting a stop to this. And, you know, that started the American Revolution. And Paul Revere and his Minutemen and the Great Ride and all this stuff. And, you know, who knows what is true and what isn't. But if any of it is true, my gosh, how far we have fallen, huh? We went from starting an international revolt over a 3-cent hike in taxes to, you know, let's just give all the billionaires of the world everything we own, because we don't really have a clue about what's going on. And so, you know, and I think far too many people are television watching news believers, and that's a dangerous thing to be in this world. In fact, Alex has written a song about that called this is the acoustic version. But this song here, right here, Television Watching News Believer, this is one of, I think, the greatest music videos ever made. Bar none, hands down. He spent 3 months working on this thing, and it is perfect from beginning to end. It's heavy metal, so if you don't like the heavy music, just to, you know, give you fair warning. But I'm not a fan of heavy metal, but I love this song. And he's got so many others. Big Pharma, I Told You So. His latest stuff has just been, you know, just off the scales. It's been awesome. And going back to the beginning though, Flat Earth Man, No Photographs of Earth, Puppet Show, each one of these is a gem. And if you haven't seen them, they're all so fun. They're in the style of like American country music. And he's this toe tapping, you know, country bumpkin. You know, he sounds like an American from the South or something. And he fooled a lot of Americans. There were a whole bunch of Americans that thought he was actually American because he faked the accent so well. But these are just filled with all kinds of nuggets and little truth bombs and visual evidence for everything that the song lyrics are sharing, and the rhymes and everything. It's so good. And it was really fun to just kind of be along for the ride with each one of these. And some of them I've got little mini fingerprints on them, little contributions. I can't take credit for any of it. His skills are his and his alone. But there's some fun things which I'll share in a bit. But yeah, so this first song, he actually, after cracking my brain open, this Flat Earth Man song that he did, and it's just so scaled down, and it's got black and white, and he does these little tricks with, you know, it's like just fun stuff with like the lowest tech you can possibly imagine. And then in the next song that he did, No Photographs of Earth, he started using green screen, and Puppet Show is just that. It's still one of my top 3 favorites that he's ever done. So if you've never seen this one, you've got to watch it. And it's just, I mean, seeing him on the ISS is just comic gold. I'll show a little bit of the video because that won't get me a strike, obviously, or a copyright. You know, this is our violin. I just see the stuff that he pulled off in a little tiny room with a green screen and iMovie, and about as low tech as you can get, and he's doing it better than NASA, in my opinion. So yeah. it'll definitely give you some laughs. So yeah, so this is just a fun thing that I mean, I'm just going to show here because it's funny that before he ever made a video and we ever started hanging out with each other, and before we were talking about everything conspiracy, There's these pictures that were taken by a friend of mine who's a professional photographer at the gallery exhibition, and he and his wife are just there taking a look at some of my images. And so I'm gonna show this little 2-minute video. And I thought he was in it, but I scanned through it, but it's just the photographs, but he's not in it. But this is just what initially kind of started us conversing, because he really liked the art, and he said to me, I don't usually like art exhibitions. I don't go to these things because most of the time I think the art is just crap. So he actually liked mine, so I took that as a huge compliment. So we can check this out here. So yeah, that was back in 2015. Don't go to the website because there's nothing there. It's not a sales pitch. At some point I'll get a website up, and a lot of that stuff will be for sale, because I still have a lot of different pieces. But I just to clarify, I mentioned that that a lot of that Alex's music, that it's country western. But if you're not a country western fan, he can do anything. He's doing heavy metal, he's doing blues, he's doing reggae, and it's all good. So yeah. So then he finally finishes his studio. This is the first incarnation of the studio, and this is actually him working on this video. That from the time he sent me the very first take of the song in WhatsApp, I got the very first version of it he ever did. I was like, that's gonna be a hit. It's just gonna knock people's socks off, to use an overused expression. But it was well received and well loved by the flat Earth community. Oh yeah, flat Earth. That was another thing. He started cracking my brain open when it came to things like Earth shape, and I wasn't having any of it. It took me several weeks of investigation, and I kept coming back at him with different things. But what about this, and what about that? And every little thing that I thought that I knew, he just knocked out of the water, or he sent me a video that would knock it out of the water. And then he started showing me all these different little blooper reels and whatnot of NASA, and harness fails, and hanging from wires, and green screen glitches, and bubbles in space, and you name it. There was so much, and most people never go looking because it never occurs to them. Like, even if they believed, like I did, that the moon landings were probably faked and we never went there, you know, it's not something that crosses their mind that that maybe they've been faking everything since. So yeah, it took a lot of time to wrap my head around that, and then Alex gave me this song. This shirt originally said I heart NASA, but it got an upgrade today, a long overdue upgrade. I do not love NASA. I think they're liars. I think it's easily provable, but you're not going to find it on YouTube unless you know where to look. I would go to places like BitChute or Rumble or channels like Globebusters or Jeranism, or there's a whole lot of great channels, but they don't come up for some reason on the Google searches. I don't know why, but anyway, this shirt has a history as well. And let's see. Oh yeah. All right. So Alex comes out with that song, his first video in September 2017. Around that time, I managed to drag him up to the top of Montgo. And no, this is not a Masonic sign. A lot of people think that. This is just, you know, horizon flat, you know. And I actually got him up there, which was one of probably the greatest accomplishments I've ever achieved. Because what I didn't really know is Alex is afraid of heights, and he was cursing me 2/3 of the way up and hated me, but he looks pretty content that he made it here. But he's sworn he'll never go up again. So just enjoy these pictures, because there was a lot of work involved in getting those. Yeah. So then I'm going to make a video just strictly about this this song called I Don't Want to Talk About NASA, because there's a really great story behind this song and this video and stuff that happened after the video. And I'm not going to go into it here, but you can see I'm wearing this shirt here because the whole idea behind the song was like, I told him, you know, there should be a song that's you know, it's like what happens to this just normal everyday guy after he starts looking into things like NASA and Earth shape, and like, you know, and he starts questioning fundamental aspects of his reality, and you know, little by little his whole life unravels, and he loses his partner and his dog and his truck, and you know, it's just like the classic country western song where just everything that could possibly go wrong goes wrong. And so I'm not going to give away too much, and I'm not going to play it because of the copyright stuff, but just, you know, this is actually me in one of his videos, and this is a hilarious moment where he's, you know, talking to a guy who's a NASA fan, and it doesn't go well. And yeah, so I actually punched Conspiracy Music Guru to the floor. But he got me back. Oh, by the way, this video was up until Space is Fake, which is a fantastic video. That's another one of my absolute favorites. You got to see that one. Space is Fake is just a gem. Where is it? Dun, 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 dun. This one. Don't miss this one. This is so good. Yeah, up until the point where he did that, this video that I just showed the clip from, this was the hardest video I ever did, because there's like 5 of him in this video. So talk about having to like do nightmarish work with a green screen. He did it, and this video took him well over a month to make. So yeah, but so people are like, oh, you got the best of him, right? Knocked him to the floor. Well, not exactly, because then he came out with this video called No Amount of Evidence Will Ever Persuade an Idiot. Oops, there, I'm blocking it. There we go. No amount of evidence will ever persuade an idiot. And this is all about 5G and the effects of the radiation, and here he's like this crazy old professor. I mean, he's just he wears a lot of hats in this video as well. And this is just, I crack up every time I see this. And it's really underappreciated. It's only gotten 100,000 views. He's got videos that have well over 500,000 views now, just on his channel, let alone all the mirrors. But this thing, again, like so much of his other stuff, it's not just toe tapping and funny and great lyrics, but it's just riddled with actual proof and evidence for what he's talking about through the entire video. So then, you know, being the good friend that I am, he needed some extras, and so he got me and Howard and John to step up to the plate, and we were hit. Whoop! I just changed video without realizing it, and we were the idiots because the where'd it go? What the heck? Here we go. Because the whole idea is no amount of evidence will ever persuade an idiot, right? And so we were the idiots. And here we are blindfolded, trying to figure out what the heck is going on, you know, with reality. And so that's another good one to see. And then the reason I said he got us back is, or at least got me back, was because he's got me wearing a shirt in this video where I'm a proud idiot. There it is. So he got his revenge in the end. Look. I mean, it cracks me up just seeing it without music. So you can only imagine how good it is with the music. So yeah, let's see here. Pause. There we go. Yeah, so on to the topic of tonight. So one of the things that was happening around this time, or well, before Alex ever made a single video, was let's see, wait a minute, go back here. Yeah, so back in 2015 and 16, this is when a lot of revelations were coming out. A lot of stuff was being exposed about the Catholic Church and things that they had been doing. The whole debacle with Jimmy Savile started to bubble to the surface, and you know, more and more of the allegations that have been levied against him for decades turned out to be completely true. And you know, the more you found out, the more disgusting it got, and that it wasn't sending huge numbers of people into complete outrage, and you know, the same thing with the stuff that was revealed about the church and all the priests, and how they had knowingly just been moving these guys around. Like when it got discovered, the horrible things they were doing to children, they'd just like try and hush it and just moved them to another town, right? They didn't get defrocked or you know, whatever they do in the church. I don't even know what it's called, but you know, and it's just like the seedy underbelly of the top highest levels of society became just mainstream, everyday, front and center, and most people weren't connecting the dots. They didn't care at all about it. And you know, it's like, what does it matter? I still have to go to work in the morning. What does this matter to me? And so I'm just going to play a couple things. I don't know. This might be, I mean, this guy, if you don't know about him, you should look into him, because he was connected to everybody. And he was, I mean, scumbag is about the gentlest expression you could probably use to come up with this guy and what he was doing. But the most concerning thing of all is that he was knighted, and he was deeply connected to, you know, the people that everyone's celebrating today, and so yeah. Well, before I get on to this topic, let's see. We'll let me just check in with the chat and see how everyone's doing tonight. I hope all the audio is good. How's everybody? I've got about a 20-second delay. And yeah, so some of this is going to be funny. Some of it is going to make you want to cry. And yeah, this is Jimmy Savile, and this is, I don't know, some guy that some people think is important. I don't. And yeah, so
just sign there on the dotted line to make sure me, Sir Jimmy Savile, is exempt from any public scrutiny or prosecution. How's about that then?
Right. So this is him. These are disturbing images because he was a television personality. Now, this song that I'm going to play later is all about him, but I didn't grow up knowing about this guy at all. I had never even seen his face. I'd never watched any program with him. So it's not like I have a personal beef because I grew up deceived. It's just the way he connects to everybody that disgusts me, and that he was being protected for so long and he got away with so much. And this is just an example where he's literally molesting this girl on stage, live on television, and he starts grabbing her in the rear and having the time of his life, as he usually did, doing all of his evil things. And yeah, and there were many who knew what he was up to, but he was too powerful, so they didn't do anything about it. But I don't think it's because he was too powerful that they didn't do anything about it. I think that the kind of stuff he does goes all the way to the top. And, that's how it works with a pyramid scheme. When the top is evil, the evil trickles downward, even though there's lots and lots of good people in the pyramid. So I don't know, maybe this'll get me busted, I don't know. But this is Jingle Jangle Jewelry. And I'm not going to play all of it because some of the lyrics are disgusting. This was a remake, I guess, of his theme show.
Jingle jangle jewelry, jingle jangle jewelry, jingle jangle jewelry, lovely, lovely, lovely. Jingle jangle jewelry, lovely, lovely, lovely. Jingle jangle jewelry, poke my bum. Jingle jangle jewelry, jingle jangle jewelry. Rock me chocolate starfish, rock me chocolate starfish. Lovely, lovely, lovely. Stuff my awful bullets. Lovely, lovely, lovely. Come and chuck your muck. Lovely, lovely, lovely. Jingle jangle jewelry. Rock me cabaret out.
Anyway, Jingle Jangle was apparently like one of his slogans that he would use in the television show. And so someone, I think, took the theme song and redid it and changed the lyrics. But this guy, I basically, the more I found out about him as this stuff was being revealed, the more I felt like my brain had been jingle jangled, and it's just amazing that this stuff can be out there, and nobody even knows. Nobody thinks about it. And so around the time I met Alex, I started waking up to a whole bunch of other little dark rabbit holes that you could go down, like related to things like Tavistock and mind control programming, MK Ultra, that kind of stuff, and how that tied in so deeply to Hollywood and to the music industry. And it was just astonishing. So much of the stuff that I'd grown up loving was tainted with all of this darkness and occult symbology. And you know, esoteric stuff and symbology, and it was all just hidden there right in plain sight, and I never knew. You know, I mean, I'm literally discovering all this stuff. What am I? I'm 55 now, so basically 47, 48 years old, I start to wake up to what's really going on. And that's kind of bizarre, because I had woken up to a lot of different kinds of conspiracy theories, you could say, conspiracy facts. There's lots of evidence for them long before, because I was exposed to books like Behold the Pale Horse by William Cooper when I was 20, 21. So I already kind of knew that the power structure was evil, or a lot of it was, and that sorry, I just need a moment. Yeah, that there was a lot of things going on behind the scenes that were just horrible, and most people were completely oblivious to it. So then you get to this point where, I don't know, are you going to get a cabin in the woods and start prepping and, you know, stockpile weapons and try and grow all your own food? Or, you know, are you going to go that direction? Or are you going to, you know, do the opposite and just decide, like, I'm gonna live my life and focus on the positive and try and do the best I can to help people and make the world a better place. You know, think globally, act locally, except it's maybe not a globe. So think locally, act locally. Think differently, act locally. You know, that's what we all need to be doing. So anyway, this is another little
shiny gold tracksuit, talking to a girl in an evening unpleasant manner.
Jimmy Savile, beautiful. Jimmy Savile,
Take a ride on a donkey.
Jimmy Savile,
Beautiful.
Jimmy Savile,
Rape allegations,
Rape.
revelations,
Rape.
investigations,
Rape.
organizations,
rape allegations against Jimmy Savile, beautiful. Jimmy Savile,
Regarded as a pedophile.
Jimmy Savile,
beautiful.
Jimmy Savile.
Regarded as a pedophile.
When he crossed the line, you think, wow, terrible. When's the next one?
Jimmy Savile, Jimmy Savile,
Top of the top.
Jimmy Savile,
Nothing.
Jimmy Savile.
It's not my style. It's not my style. There's one thing I hate, close to my heart, is pedophiles. I cannot stand them.
Jimmy Savile, beautiful. Jimmy Savile,
Regarded as a pedophile.
Jimmy Savile,
Top of the top.
Jimmy Savile.
Criminal, evil, horrendous behaviour. Criminal, evil, horrendous behaviour. For the paedophile, this must have been an amazing country to live in.
Jimmy Savile, beautiful. Jimmy Savile,
Take a ride on a donkey.
Jimmy Savile,
Top of the top.
Jimmy Savile.
The BBC, the BBC, the BBC.
They're all corrupt. Every single institution is hiding paedophiles.
Jimmy Savile,
Take a ride on a donkey.
Jimmy Savile,
Top of the top.
Jimmy Savile, Jimmy Savile.
I didn't actually watch that to the end. I should have. Sorry about that last part. I was not expecting that. Yeah, so, oh, this is just the Declaration of Independence, going back to the theme I was talking about before. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal and they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, and that to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving from their just powers from the consent of the governed. Yeah, so that, you know, and this, I know this is a big, deep rabbit hole in and of itself, this whole idea of the straw man and, you know, being sovereign and what that means and et cetera, et cetera. But this is, to me, you know, this is embracing, at least on some level, the idea of freedom. And then you've got monarchy. And we're going to get to monarchy in a moment, because this is called Coronation Day, this video. I talked about the Boston Tea Party as well. And let's see here. Yeah, so Celtic football fans, thousands of Scottish football fans have shown their dislike with a loud chant. And long before Jimmy Savile ever came along, I'm starting to slur. I don't normally drink this stuff, but it seemed appropriate tonight. I don't know. I can kind of resonate with that. I don't know about you. Anyway, so that brings us to the main event. Are you ready? This is the song that Alex and I sat down to write. Or I wrote the lyrics, and he generously tolerated my inability to sing very well. My nickname is Brittany, and if you come away from the song thinking you're actually a good singer, don't listen to Alex. I mean, there's probably not a note that I sang that hasn't been touched here, so it's not as bad as Cher's, auto tune. But I mean, every once in a while I can hit a few notes in a row that sound good, but if you actually watched Alex yesterday working on this thing, you would not just because of the music and the videos that he's made, but watching him work with Logic and seeing what he did to make everything sound as good as it does. And this is far from Alex's standard. Keep in mind, he did this for me because I begged him. And I think this is kind of an embarrassing chapter in his past because he's evolved so much and his standards are so high, and he's got like the most amazing ear for music. And so this is not a reflection of music that Alex would make for himself by any means, but it's something that I think is worthy of the airwaves, especially given the day. And so it's just an expression of how I was feeling as I was learning more and more about Jimmy Savile and his relationship to the royal family and to bands like the Beatles. And yeah, so let me get this queued up. And actually, before I play it, let's just check in with the chat a little bit. Everything's still good, I hope. Grant writes, Barbara Bush, Aleister Crowley's daughter. You know what? I wouldn't be surprised. They look identical. Yeah, David Icke warned people like 30 years ago. David Icke, I read his book, The Greatest Secret Ever, like 6 months before 9/11. And so when 9/11 happened, I was just like immediately like, this ain't right. There's so much already that's weird about what's happening. And then the more you dig into it, the more you realize, again, that the fingerprints of the secret societies are all over that event. The symbology is there in truckloads. And when you start to tug at the threads of the official narrative, it unravels so quickly. But again, you won't find that stuff on YouTube unless you know specifically what to look for. So you got to look for things like, I don't know, loose change, and, check out architects and engineers for 9/11 truth and that sort of thing. You'll find out a whole lot about it that doesn't make any sense. All right, so not much going on in the chat. Let's let's do this, shall we? So this is Jingle Jangled, and I think it's a great song for the
myself. I'd like to think I do. 'Cause if I haven't got control of myself, means other folks do. It is all around if you got eyes to see. The flashing secret signs. See the star machine telling you how to be. They're capturing our minds. My mind's been tangled and rearranged. It's silly that I know. My breath's been baited, so frustrated. There's nowhere left to go. See, I've been jingle jangled, I've been frizzle frazzle, caught up in the lie. I've been really tangled and dizzle dazzle. Someone tell me why. Spells have all been cast, started long ago. We're just pieces on their board. Something has to change. What are we waiting for? You know it's time to take control. My mind's been tangled and rearranged. It's silly that I know. My breath's been baited, so frustrated. There's nowhere left to go. See, I've been jingle jangled, I've been frizzle frazzle, caught up in the lie. I've been really tangled and dizzle dazzle. Someone tell me why. See, I've been jingle jangled, I've been frizzle frazzle, caught up in the lie. I've been really tangled and dizzle dazzle. Someone tell me why.
Sorry. Rookie maneuver. Yeah, so that was the world premiere of Jingle Jangled. I hope you enjoyed it. There were some things in there maybe some of you aren't familiar with. Like I had a number of pictures of the Beatles, which I thought was pretty interesting. The connection they had to Saville. He seemed to be very influential in their career. And it kind of pained me to include them and to learn about them and to learn about things like Tavistock and other stuff that people should look into. The Beatles were my favorite band growing up, and Alex thinks they're crap. Doesn't think their music is good at all. I loved it. It was my mom's generation. It wasn't mine. I grew up listening to the music, and I just loved it, and constantly listened to the Beatles albums. I had many of them, so I knew the lyrics inside and out. And there was a couple of. Let me bring it up here. There we go. So let's see if I can find it. Might be earlier. Yeah, the reason the song is titled Jingle Jangle is because I saw this clip of Jimmy Savile where he was on stage and a bunch of kids were all around him, and he had two children on his lap, and he's like, jingle jangle, jingle jangle, and he just looked like a psychopath. And knowing what I know about him now, I know that he was. And so it was it was just it just disgusted me so much. And so that was why this song. And then finding out that he was intimately tied to the Beatles, and they're using all kinds of the symbology and the hand gestures and the one eye and the they all just look like bosom buddies. And like, what is up with this? I mean, who thought that was a good idea for an album cover? It's just absolutely nuts. So then I started to find out about the Beatles, and there's actually a book called The Memoirs of Billy Shears, written by this guy, Thomas E.U. Harriot, but he's known as the Encoder. And he's actually writing on behalf of a guy named William Shepard, who is the Billy Shears that's sung about in the Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band album. And this album is got so much symbology riddled throughout it, and it's got Aleister Crowley on it, and I think he's on here twice, but I'm not sure where the other location is. But ties into this whole conspiracy theory that the real Paul McCartney died in 1966, and the guy who took over for him is now the man that everyone knows as Paul McCartney. And it sounds like it's a totally crazy theory to anyone who's a Paul McCartney fan or a Beatles fan, but I highly recommend reading this book because it's so incredibly convincing, and it's written, like I said, on behalf of William Shepard, he's not able to disclose the truth about what he's done, and so he's writing through another author and a pen name, Billy Shears, and that's how truth is revealed in the mainstream. This guy, the Sage of Quay, Mike Williams, I have a tremendous amount of respect for him. He's a wonderful truther. He's done many videos on this subject, and they woke me up to a whole lot, and I was going through a lot of those videos around the same time all this stuff about Saville was coming out, and so that was why I wrote the lyrics to this song, and then Alex made it what it was. And So the Child Catcher from Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, I think it's very appropriate. And then I don't know if there's anything else I wanted to say about that really. Just remember that, you know, we are the carbon they want to reduce. Yeah, so that was that. And I was going to show... Alex sent me a second version of this song today, which I'll finish off with. But first, I'll just go to the chat. It's been a while since I've been live. A whole lot of stuff has happened since then. So if anyone has any questions about anything, not just this day and all the stuff that I've been talking about, but whatever. Now's the time. And when I'm done, I'm just gonna put on the last version, which is acoustic, and Alex did it today, and I really like it. So it's worth playing, I think. A Discord server, yeah, I'm in Discords, but the idea of running my own and managing it is just not, I don't want to do it. I've got a Telegram channel. Maybe somebody in the chat can post a link to that. Yeah, no, this is brandy, not ale. I'm not a painter. These are, believe it or not, those are photographs. They are, this is one of my images. Very unusual style of photography. And at the time that I did that exhibition, I went all over scouring the internet to see if there was anyone else doing anything like what I was doing. And you'll find more of it, but these are taken. It's delayed exposure, it's movement. Basically, you know, I look like I was trying to break the camera, and came up with just some amazing images. And at the time, you know, if you searched for abstract photography on a Google image search, the only thing you'd come up with were blurry photos of flowers or blurry photos of like cityscape kind of thing. And so it was very, very unique, and I probably should have tried to do a whole lot more with it, but I didn't. It just has sat for 7 years. But at some point I'm going to have a exclusive sale on first edition images that were actually in that gallery exhibition, and that'll probably happen around the time I finish my book, which people keep asking me when am I going to get to that, and my channel has been so all-consuming for quite a while now that I'm going to put it aside for a while and start to work on the book. And yeah. Not much going on. Okay, well, let's see. I've got a bunch of different things planned and lined up, and maybe I'd like to just check in with the people who are watching and see, what are you interested in next? I've got like 5 different possible videos lined up, live streams that I'll do on different topics. One is on the great trees and instant petrification. We'll call that number 1. Titanic trees made gold, number 2. Spelunking titans, spelunking titanic trees, number 3. Opals, geodes, and the great trees, number 4. And number 5, felling titanic trees. So if you have a preference for one of those, post a number in the chat and I'll just see what people prefer. So number 1, great trees and instant petrification. Titanic trees made the gold, number 2. Spelunking titanic trees, number 3. Opals, geodes, and the great trees, number 4. And then felling titanic trees, number 5. So let me know which is most appealing to you. And if there aren't any last minute questions, let me just see if there's anything. Yeah, cognac is the best. Apparently, this is not spirits. It's different, according to Alex. He loves cognac, but this is actually brandy, not cognac. And he knows. He's the specialist in this subject. So, search for King Juan, Prince William photos with Charles in them, as plain as day. Found a heart rock in the parking lot river. There are 2 big indentations next to each and a few other holes, but there are 2 circles next to each other, like a 1/4 inch across. Cool. Those are great to share in the Telegram biogeology chat. Let's see if I have that. No, I don't have it handy. Maybe somebody can post a link to that. One of the mods. So, someone's asking for a video on the flat Earth topic. Yeah, I may do that actually, because I had such an amazing experience, kind of awakening to this subject, and I've been planning a video for a long time, like my story when it came to all of this, and going with Alex to Denver in 2018 to the Flat Earth conference there, and having some unusual experiences, to say the least. It was awesome to meet all those people, and so yeah, that's something that's been planned for a long time. Chaotis is asking me if I'm familiar with the concave Earth theory. Yeah, I've mentioned that in the past in some different videos. It's an old theory. It goes back over 100 years to a guy named Cyrus Teed. He wrote a book called Cellular Cosmogony. And it's kind of like a hollow Earth theory. We're on the inside of the Earth and looking towards the center when we look up at our sky, that has a celestial sphere that rotates, and you can't tell the difference between something that's concave or convex when you're looking from one vantage point. So, you know, the rotation of our stars in the 24 hours, it's a fascinating theory. There's a 5-hour video on it by a guy named Lord Stephen Christ, and he's kind of a strange character, but he's a master with 3D rendering of different graphics, and he brought Cyrus Teed's theories to life in a very interesting, compelling way. So I think it's a fascinating theory. When it comes to, is it flat, is it concave, is it hollow, is it a toroid? I don't know. The only thing I'm pretty certain of is it's not what they tell us, and the people who are supposedly telling us the truth about what it is seem to be lying to us and presenting a lot of false information. And if it was really what they were saying, it would be easy to present a whole bunch of information that would satisfy all the flat earthers very quickly. But they're still here, still being censored, still producing video after video of empirical tests and all kinds of other things that show that it's not what they're telling us. But exactly what it is, I don't know. I think you would probably have to get outside of it to know. But for people who don't want to watch the 5.5-hour video from Lord Stephen Christ, I think he's got a 50-minute in a nutshell video that's worth looking at. He's had a couple channels taken down. I think he's got a new one up. So search on BitChute if you can't find it on YouTube. So number 4 seems to be the most popular. What was number 4? 1, 2, 3, 4. Geodes, opals, and the great trees. All right. I'll do that one next. I think that was the one that got the most votes. Yeah, I'm not sure if Tech Junky's talking about Lord Stephen. He creeps me out. I'm not sure. Oh no, maybe he's talking about Savile. I don't know. I don't want to assume. He's definitely an unusual character. So, any other questions? I'm at your disposal. Maybe do an at Stellium if you're specifically talking to me, because I see people are talking back and forth in the chat. We all live in a yellow submarine. That's a theory I used to sing a lot, but I never really considered as a possibility. Yes, Savile was supposed to be the marriage guidance counselor for Di and Charlie. Not a guy I would want as a marriage counselor. Oh, man. Twilight Mist, I think you're probably behind in the live stream because I'm no longer muted, I pray. I'm muted. Should not be muted. Oh, I went way back, sorry. Dun, dun, dun. All right, let's see. Some of us wouldn't mind helping archive data proof for future eyes. Okay. I'll consider a Discord. The problem is the one I'm in, that it's like a private Discord with some friends. I never get to the tabs in that Discord anyway. And I have a tab of my own that I don't even make use of. So it's probably something that I would create, and then it would collect dust. Right, it's called brandy if it's not made in the province of France. In that province, so yeah. So this is brandy, not cognac. And apparently, for those who are discerning, it's got to be cognac or nothing else. Do I think that Roger could be controlled opposition? No. I had a 2-hour conversation with Roger, and about an hour of that was recorded, but I promised him I wasn't going to use it, so I've never put it on the channel. We got onto everything was going along really smoothly, and then we got on the subject of Earthshape because he started sharing photos from NASA about asteroids in space and calling them different anatomical body parts. And I just can't get on board with that theory. We don't really gel when it comes to cosmological theories. But in that 2 hours, I really got a sense that Roger believes all the things that he's sharing with people. There was a time where I thought maybe he was trying to mislead people, but I think that's what he believes. And, I've mentioned Roger many times in many videos, and there are things that I'm frustrated about that he hasn't shared or really looked at. Any of the information that I presented with his following, and I think that's odd. He could share it with them and talk about the work and the degree of effort that's been put in, and how methodical it is. But, you know, and then have a disclaimer of like, I have different opinions about this, but he hasn't done any of that. He's just kind of remained silent. I think there's a couple of times where he's like said little tiny things because people have come to my channel saying that Roger mentioned it, but I've never found a video where he's mentioned anything about my channel, which is really odd because I've done a lot of stuff on Titans and on Heartstones. The royals are not of British descent. They've rewritten history since the 1700s to fit their claim. Yeah, what is it? Are they German or Dutch? I can't remember. I know that it was in many videos that I've seen, and Ike as well. There's a lot of stuff going on there. In the UK, they're teaching that the Earth is an oblate spheroid. What do I think of that? I don't think it is. I have a hard time imagining how, you know, water is sticking to the outside of an oblate spinning spheroid, and that our atmosphere is just velcroed to the Earth as it spins at 1,000 miles an hour at the equator, and it never gets sucked out into the vacuum of space. I've seen no real evidence for gravity, and they seem to switch back and forth between Einsteinian and Newtonian gravity at will as needed, depending on whatever argument they're trying to support. So yeah, no, I'm definitely not on board with that. What it is exactly, I don't know. But I tend to go with toroid because it seems like the Earth, there's a fractal quality to our reality. And you know, when you look at red blood cells, for example, they appear to be shaped like toroids. Everything grows in this fashion, you know, that's following the Fibonacci sequence, and I think it's something totally different than what we're being told. We're being misled on purpose. If they can get us, you know, what is it? What was the line from the very first song Alex wrote? If they can get you to believe that you're on a spinning ball, then things like God and creation just make no sense at all. See, it all arrived from nothing, right? With their theory of Big Bang. It's true satanic mind control from the Freemasonic gang. You see, it's only Freemasons that get to go to space. They're the evil bastards who are lying to your face. I didn't mention it, but he wrote that song kind of loosely about me as he was watching me go through my whole awakening to certain subjects. So I was kind of indirectly the inspiration for his first song. Maybe a shout out for Zenith Atlas channel. I've never heard of that channel, so I can't shout them out, but I guess I sort of did indirectly right now by mentioning it. Was I employed by a large tech company after I was found out? Yeah, there's a 2-hour interview that's on my channel that Andreas Exertus did with me. It's the only time I've done other videos where I've mentioned it since, but that was the first time I ever told anything about my backstory with regards to the hacking. And when I was 28, I moved to Italy as an exchange student. I was studying initially philosophy, and then I later switched my major to Italian cultural studies because it gave me more freedom to study whatever I wanted while I was in Italy. And then after graduating from the University of Santa Barbara in California, I wanted more of Europe, and I moved back to Italy, and I worked as an English teacher for about a year and just got bored out of my gourd teaching English. And so I contacted the American Embassy, and I got a list of American companies that were doing business in Italy, and sent out about 40 or 50 curriculum vitae, CVs, resumes to these different companies. And one day out of the blue, I got a call back from IBM, and they called me in for an interview for a position as a tech writer. And so I went in for this, and they didn't know anything about my past, and there was nothing on my intake form or anything that I had to answer So basically, it was a don't ask, don't tell kind of a situation, because I figured if I told him the truth about my past, it would probably raise more questions than would be useful for the hiring process. So I ended up going to work for IBM for a year as a tech writer in Rome, and nobody in IBM ever had any idea who I was, what I'd done, or anything about my past. And the only person I confided in was a good friend of mine who was also a fellow tech writer, and he and I have lost touch in the last years. I've discovered that the octahedron, which is supposedly in the center of Earth, opens up into vector equilibrium. If you know a bit about vector equilibrium, this is a big... I'm starting to slur my speech. This is funny. Never done this. I'm usually drinking tea in a live stream, so you got me with my guard down. Last chance for any revealing questions. King Arthur's true Brit nobility. It's why they turned it into myth. That, you know what? That's my take on our history. I think everything that we've been fed as myth, and if you study myth, if you study the work of Joseph Campbell and, you know, cross-cultural mythology and how all of the societies of the world have flood myths and have other kinds of myths, it's just, you know, it's amazing how the overlaps everywhere you go. This is why I think syncretism is valuable, this idea of looking at the overlaps as a way of finding truth. Don't pick any one doctrine, because everything has been manipulated, it seems. And if you start looking at where they all overlap, then you might get a little closer to the truth. And I forgot what I was talking about now. What was it? Joseph Campbell, that mythology is probably our true history, and it's given to us in metaphor, but oftentimes it's very, very specific. For example, the big trees, which I led with at the very beginning. This is fed to us by Hollywood as Avatar movies. And up until recently, that was the top grossing movie of all time. So I think that's one, because they've promoted it, because there's so much truth in plain sight. But two, because it resonates and it touches a deep chord within us all. And as a result, you know, we love that story because there's a part of us that knows that it's true. And if you study the work of Hangman 1128, his YouTube channel, you'll see that that there is actually undeniable evidence that the great trees were real. Blush cheek. Yeah, I know. I'm turning red. Look at this. This is not my normal streaming. Maybe I should drink a little water. Free energy. Yeah, I think free energy is a fact. I think there's so many different ways it can be harnessed. And there's a lot of people looking into that. You know, we're fed these stories about, what is it? I can't remember now. You know, physics. Can't remember which law, you know, that, never mind. I'm not going to speak about it because I'm getting slightly drunk, and I'm not an expert on any of that stuff. But yeah, I think free energy is real. I think that a lot of the ancient tech was harnessing it. I'll give one example of free energy that I'm sober enough to speak about. So I've talked about it I think in the last video that I made, where there's a guy in New York who was receiving a Lifetime Achievement Award because he was an expert in heating and air conditioning systems for these ancient buildings that are in New York. And a lot of people are trying to fix these things when they go wrong and retrofit them in different ways, and they end up messing them up. And then they bring in this guy who's like the foremost expert in the world. And he says they're always messing it up because they don't really understand what people were doing. And one of the things that they were doing is they were driving a shaft down to the earth, far enough down to the point where it gets so hot that you can actually boil water to steam. So they would pipe water down one shaft, and then they had a second shaft where the steam would come up. And when you heat water to steam, it's a 1 to 1700 conversion. Oh wow, I said 1700 and then 1700 appeared on the screen. I love those kind of syncs. All right, we're going now. All right, so so it's a 1 to 1700 conversion. So if you have a liter of water, that's 1700 liters of steam. So that kind of expansion is all you need to turn turbines. And those turbines can then be used to power other things like whatever's electrical in the building. But also the steam itself is hot, so you pipe that through the radiators and you're heating your building. So apparently these buildings were so efficient that you could have the windows open in the winter time, and everyone was just cozy as could be inside. And a lot, I've seen stuff about the fireplaces. A lot of these ancient fireplaces in the old the old world structures, they show no sign of soot, so there was no fire being performed. There was no wood being burned in these fireplaces, which is very odd for a giant fireplace. Yeah. So I think there's lots of free energy. Oh, another one is electrostatic tethering. This is just fact, right? We know that spiders can let out a thread of silk, and they can fly through the air because the static electricity. It's 100 volts per meter from the Earth going up. So every meter above the Earth, it's 100 volts of static electric charge. So that's what I think the old buildings were doing with their metallic domes and their spires. They were pulling energy straight out of the ether through this, electrostatic tethering or pull. And so spiders can fly around, and they can actually change direction. So it's not just floating. Apparently they can direct themselves. I don't know how the heck they do that, but that's pretty far out. And I think that's how the satellites are being powered as well, right? The Satelloons. See Alex's, which one? Welcome to the Satellite Hoax. That's a great video as well. Welcome to the Satellite Hoax. Just another one of their stupid jokes. And basically, you can see in that music video, you can see them actually launching Satelloons, big balloons that are made of a material that can gather the electrostatic charge. And they're so big and they float so high that we don't see them with the naked eye, and they're floating around in the jet streams, and they stay up there for like a year or something before they have to be pulled down for maintenance. And there's so much evidence for that out there. It's not a wacky theory. It's actually fact. And they've actually, check out Jim Brewer's recent comedy routine on the Chinese balloon that supposedly, the spy balloon that entered the U.S. That had me in stitches. Jim Brewer, Chinese Satelloon. So the old tech fireplaces, radium is another fascinating thing. And as I get more into the trees, I'm going to be talking about, the trees were making everything. And this is something I learned from Hangman 1128, is he's finding all of it. Like and there's so much stuff that's come from Waking Up with Analog. Ben, he's also known as the archivist. Shout out to Ben. He's watched his last 4 or 5 videos. He's constantly talking about different kinds of petrification. and looking at the old newspaper articles, and there's so much evidence for all this stuff that they were using radium to power things and for lighting, and it was apparently very good for health as well. So check out that stuff. I think he just did a video recently on the subject of radium. I haven't had a chance to see it yet. When am I starting the revolution? This is it right here, right now. Tired of being jangled. God, if my kids are watching right now, it's not good. Don't drink alcohol and do live streams. All right, that's my advice. Do as I say, not as I do. What is not measured? Sorry. What are you talking about? What isn't measured, OIC? I don't know what you're talking about. If I watched anything from Griffin Brock, turns out you need a balloon or something like that. I mean, think about it this. If anyone who's ever taken a balloon and rubbed it against their head, it sticks to things, right? You can create static electricity through friction. Well, this electrostatic, what is it called? Electrostatic, forgot the word, but it's just a scientific fact. And every meter you go up, it's 100 volts. So, you know, the Kármán line is at like, what, 62 miles or 100 kilometers? That's a ton of electricity. So if you somehow manage to have, you know, something that long or close to it, you could harness a heck of a lot of energy. And it's all free. Do I fear the authorities for revealing too much or the wrong truth? Yeah, honestly. But at the same time, there's a whole lot of people out there that are revealing far, far more than I am, and they seem to not disappear. And, you know, we have to speak truth to power. If everyone's afraid to speak their mind, then we're all doomed. And I don't claim to be the arbiter of truth. I'm just a guy who's asking a lot of questions, like that opening song, right? Do you dare to question? And we've been taught that there's a whole bunch of stuff that you're not even allowed to question because it's so stupid that if you even begin to think about it or ask questions about it, that makes you a complete idiot. And to me, that's just mind control programming. You know, take Earthshape, for example. I've said this in several interviews and videos that there's no better subject to educate children about critical thinking and the scientific method and using logic and empirical evidence and actual scientific experiments and what those really are, than Earthshape. Like, you know, it should be constantly being discussed. And instead they've got them making volcanoes. And then I was about to say volcano, and I see somebody says, what do I believe are volcanoes? That's a very good question. I'm glad you asked that. But, you know, instead we've got them making volcanoes in science class instead of like, hey, do boats really go over the horizon? Or is that a function of optics? Is that a function of angular resolution? Is it a function of our eyes just can't make out something that small in the distance? But, it seems that our modern optics, which you can go down to the store and buy for 500 euros with incredible zooms, can debunk the idea that a boat goes over the horizon by pulling a boat back from over the horizon with a powerful zoom. So I forgot what the question was, but yeah. Satellite hoax was his top... Hey, Nora. Got to meet Nora in Denver. That was his top song until I Told You So came along, and that's gotten over 100 or 500,000 views. So what was it? Oh yeah, back to volcanoes. I don't know about all of them. I mean, there's mud volcanoes. There's all kinds of different volcanoes. But I am of the mind now that I think a bunch of volcanoes are actually burned out trees. So whatever hit, call it the plasma apocalypse if you like Jay Dreamer's stuff. Big shout out to Jay Dreamers. I love his channel. He was influential in waking me up to a whole bunch of stuff that caused me to start this channel in the first place. And I reached out to him recently to do an interview or a conversation or a collaboration, whatever he wants, because he's done a lot of great stuff on the topic of the plasma apocalypse and, you know, what the world was like before the shit hit the fan. And I think when it happened, that there were major forces involved that involved plasma as well. And this gets back to what I was saying before with Hangman, and that the trees are making everything. And when I say everything, that includes stuff that we would call toxic, like uranium and plutonium and these different very, very, very rare kinds of elements that they're, you know, mining the shit out of the world for, just to try and get these things so that they can make use of them in different ways. And I think that what's happened is that a lot of the trees were, you know, annihilated either by being physically taken down in different ways, and then and that's I have a stream that I'm going to do about that, or they got hit. That shit got hit, and when it did, deep down, those reactive materials are there burning for, who knows, maybe forever. And every once in a while that stuff bubbles to the surface, and we call that a volcanic eruption. So my take on the trees is that on the volcanoes is that a lot of them may have once been trees. That's my thought. And I'm no expert. I'm not a geologist. I'm not a physicist. I don't know chemistry. Take all of my stuff with a grain of salt, because, you know, I'm not trying to be the arbiter of truth here. I'm just a guy who's asking questions and finding out weird shit along the way. Yeah, so ponder this. Your mouth can suck up water here at ground level where gravity is strongest, but somehow miles up, gravity holds the vacuum of space back. What the heck logic? I agree, Derp. And this is interesting because this gets into not just trees, but also the circulation through our bloodstream in our body, which I've done videos about when it comes to the nature of the heart. And this is not a good idea, but the glass is empty, so I need to add a little. All right. Don't count on me doing future live streams with alcohol. All right. What was it? Did you do something about? Now I totally forgot what I was talking about. Oh yeah, trees. Okay, so circulation and trees. When you look into the chemistry of how things are propelled through tubes. This gets into electromagnetic stuff that I can grasp as I'm listening to an expert talk about it, but I can't explain it. But, you know, our heart is not pumping to push blood through blood vessels. Blood is actually being drawn through blood vessels. And the same is happening with the trees. So people who are critical of the great tree theory, they often bring up something called the square cube law, which is this idea that the bigger something gets, the greater the gravitational pull, to the point where the structure of the object couldn't possibly support itself. And why is that? Because it would collapse, right? So they're basically invoking gravity, which in my opinion, I've never seen any compelling evidence to suggest that gravity has ever been proven. Things definitely go down. I'm not the guy to look at for that. Or listen to, go to Globebusters, listen to Austin Witsitgetsit. Witsitgetsit is his channel. He's got some great stuff. This idea that mass is attracting mass, that was supposedly, what was causing things to go down. And the greater the mass, the more likely something was to collapse under its weight if it got too big for its britches, right? And then later on, Einstein turned everything on its head and went with the warpage of space-time, and we're bending space-time in order to create this downward pull, which explains why the ISS can just float there at the 250-mile mark for years on end without ever having an orbit that degrades and crashes into the Earth. All of that because of this magic warpage of space-time where something just gets locked in the perfect Goldilocks zone and it just keeps going in a straight line forever in a circle around us. Yeah, when you dig into that stuff and you look into LIGO and you know, this kind of stuff, it just seems like such a load of bollocks. It's right up there with, it's all geopolymers, mate. The golden layer. They just crowned a guy whose marriage advisor was a necrophiliac. Fact. That may be the best line of this whole stream. Power to the people. Amen. We've gone from healing organs to harvesting organs. Dark but true. I'm not looking into the camera because hello. Appeals to expert. Yes, appeal to authority is a logical fallacy. Remember that. Anytime you start invoking the experts, scientists say, or, you know, peer review, you're actually engaging in a logical fallacy. Appeal to authority. And, you know, backslapping old boys networks that tell us what reality is because they're the experts and you're too dumb to figure out what it is, and don't pay attention to the reality around you. The earth is spinning. I know you can't feel it, but it's spinning because we said so. And, you know, the horizon is curving. You don't perceive a curve, but it's curving because we said so. And we're the experts, so trust us. Your mouth can suck up water. Didn't I already read that one? Yeah. So the trees. Oh, the square cube law. Coming back to that, right? So the idea is that because the mass is so great that it's just going to collapse under its own weight due to gravity. And if gravity isn't a fact, then there's no limit to size here. And you know, one of the streams that I'm gonna do is on this subject. You can see the thumbnail right there. This is interesting, isn't it? The trees are literally tapping into waters of the deep, I think, and the great trees especially. So I'm going to talk about that one. Wait, it jumped. What kind of static would a falling tree miles tall create? That would be insane. Definitely derp. Roger believes in NASA, in rovers on Mars. That's the problem I have with Roger. He's got a very alternative view of reality with his 900-mile-long dragon, or 1,000, however long it is now. Biogeology. He calls it mud fossils. I coined the term biogeology because I don't think mud fossils covers enough subjects. It doesn't cover instant petrification, in my opinion. It's all about paramineralization and this exchange of materials that happens over not millions of years or thousands of years, but actually short amounts of time. So Roger and I are in complete agreement about that. But when he starts to bring up, you know, all of his stuff about NASA and, you know, asteroids being tendon balls and stuff like that, he loses me. And that was kind of where we lost each other in our 2-hour conversation. But I don't believe that Roger is controlled op. I think he means what he says. And he's been at it for a long time, and he's made literally thousands of videos on these subjects. And I don't, I wish I knew more about chemistry and stuff so I could like go in and maybe go head to head with Roger and others on stuff like chemistry, but I don't. Earthquakes and tectonic plates, I don't know. My sense is that maybe the Earth is expanding. The ocean floors seem to be moving apart, and the continents seem to be moving apart, and I don't know. I don't know. Annette, thank you, Annette. Annette was the one who originally contacted a guy named Harry Hubbard, knew Harry Hubbard, and Harry Hubbard contacted me about getting some testing done on the Heartstones. And that led to a whole saga in and of itself. And I made a video called Paradigm Crushed. And if you'd like to see what happens to somebody like me with some crazy ideas that brushes up against the mainstream, that's a great place to start. It's a long video because it includes about 90 minutes of telephone conversations from the two guys that I was involved with, one being Harry and the other being a guy who was a friend of his that owned or still owns a laboratory in New Mexico, and is supposedly a very reputable high-level scientist. You can decide for yourselves based on that video and my presentation of their information and what their claims were about what I sent them. Yeah, oh shit, I didn't show it. Hold on. Good thing I haven't been showing other stuff. This is what I was showing. That's a video I was just talking about. I'm trying to keep... Well, no, this isn't a family-friendly stream, so fuck it. Where am I? There we go. Hi. I don't know what you guys were looking at for the last half an hour. Sorry if it wasn't me. Wow, this chat's going fast. So is the brandy. The groundward force. I like that. Things go down. There's no doubt about that. Like you drop something, it goes down. Nobody's arguing that things against the idea that things go to the earth when you let go of them. Oh wait, does that mean a helium balloon is an anti-gravity device? Why isn't gravity pulling the balloon down? Maybe it has more to do with density and buoyancy than it does with gravity. Yeah, huge trees would have an inbuilt resistance to collapsing. I agree, Nora. Lord Stephen Christ actually has an interesting explanation of gravity following Tesla, that it's bipolar, and that there's a lifting force and a pushing force. That wouldn't surprise me. And I keep zooming too far. Thoughts on the Great Pyramid? Ah, I'm glad you asked. Shout out to Paul Cook. I think the Great Pyramids were geopolymer. I think a lot of the megalithic architecture was actually geopolymer. Makes a lot more sense than being quarried, lifted, and moved and placed. I think that things were poured and created on site. It makes way more sense from a an Occam's razor perspective. Okay, could be if the take on earthquake trees. 9.8 meters a second. That's your Newtonian gravity. The higher up you drop, yeah, I mean, there's a downward force and then there's an accelerative force, which caused a lot of confusion for flat earthers trying to explain, like, well, yeah, we can explain why things go down as a result of buoyancy and density, but that doesn't explain the acceleration. And then there were some people, I think it might have been Austin and Globebusters. If you're not sub to Globebusters, sub to Globebusters, because you're going to get a whole panel of very, very intelligent people like showing you the empirical evidence and really looking at this from a scientific perspective. 5 fears we're controlled by: death, loss, illness, economic, and criticism. Definitely true. Like, nobody wants to be ostracized. The dumbest thing you can believe is that the earth is flat, right? That's, you know, that's it. So there's your criticism. So you're not going to begin to question things that are going to leave you ostracized. Yeah. Yeah, so geopolymers are definitely a thing. I think there's a two-part series by a channel called Observation Deck, all about geopolymers. That is amazing. It really opened my eyes to things. I no longer needed to invoke ancient aliens or magic or anti-gravity devices in order to explain how some of these megalithic structures were created. What do I think of Mark Passio? I've seen some of his stuff, and I think he's got a lot of really, really interesting things to say. I can't like recommend people go to him, but I think he's got a lot of knowledge, and you know, the things I've seen have been very interesting. There's some things that Roger says that are pure speculation. He called Devil's Tower a giant Achilles tendon. Stellium got it right. Slime mold. I don't. That's not my theory. I don't know if it's slime mold or fungus or if it's tree. I still lean towards tree, actually. Which then begs the question, who cut him down? So I'm going to do a video about that. But I think that one of the things that bugs me about Roger and other channels is how much is presented as fact and 100% when it's really speculation, and a lot of claims are made about 100% evidence, and it's like, where's the evidence? Roger is constantly showing his DNA analyses of certain samples, but I question DNA. I question DNA analyses. I don't think that that's, you know, the be all end all of truth when it comes to this. But so that's why I'm interested in empirical evidence and what I consider to be a preponderance of evidence. And someone just said on that note, preponderance of evidence, are heartstones found all over the world or just specific areas? And they seem to be all over the world. I've had a lot of people from all over the place send me pictures and even videos of them rotating the stones of what appear to be hearts, and some of them are nicer than the ones I've shown and far more bloody looking. So yeah, all over the place. Scalable, repeatable, demonstrable, with specificity. Those are kind of all some of the things you're going to be looking for if you're actually going through the scientific method. But the critics will say it's pareidolia. that it's point and claim, and that I have no scientific evidence whatsoever. And then Harry Hubbard brings up the word empiric, and he picks like the fifth definition of the word empiric, which has to do with falsity. But I'm talking about empirical. It's concrete. It's in front of you. You can see it. You can look at it. You can measure it. So it's kind of interesting that he took the least likely used definition for the word empirical. It's actually not empirical. It's empiric. And so it was a total joke what he did in his rebuttal video. Go check it out, his paradigm crush video. But watch mine first and then see who crushed whose paradigm. Annette's making pizza, loving it, and enjoying the F out of herself. Yeah. Oh, wait. Simple buoyancy. Right? If I keep drinking, I'm going to collapse and I'm not going to be able to stop this stream, and it's just going to go on for days. Pyramids were built with beings much I think you mean by beings much larger than us. Like what the Sasquatch can lift and throw is insane. Yeah, the Sasquatch, that's another one that I thought was just myth, but there's apparently a ton of evidence in favor of Sasquatch. Sasquatch? I don't know how it's pronounced. How would Sasquatch say it? Acoustic levitation. Hey, Howard, my bro. Nice to see you. Yeah. He's one of the idiots that's in No Amount of Evidence. You idiot. No amount of evidence will ever persuade an idiot. No amount of evidence, it seems. No amount of showing you 100 or 1,000 proofs will ever get your blinded eyes to see. A helium balloon would be less grounded than the outside denser air. Groundward force would, of course, be accidentally but not substantially density related. Okay. Whoa. Chaotis says there were shorts of a video guy, shorts of a video, short videos, shorts video of a guy lifting stones with a didgeridoo. That I'd like to see, and then I'd like to know for certain that it wasn't just Hollywood tricks, which it might be. Coral Castle, that's another example of somebody using something to lift really big stones. Still replaying your recorded song ×3. What's the copyright for sharing? It's not copyrighted yet. I think I might upload both question and this one, Jingle Jangled, to Spotify. Might as well get some views there. But I'm not going to copyright strike people. I think Alex would probably be proud of me with the brandy. Titan heart fossils in trees would be my choice in the choices. Titan heart fossils in trees. That's something I haven't really pondered. But you know what? 80% of the life in the forest is in the trees, on the trees, and in the branches. 80% or more. So if there were titanic trees, there's going to be a whole lot of life in the trees. So it wouldn't surprise me if the tree got hit, that there would be Titan hearts as well. Volcanoes, electrical. Yeah, if you look at plasma and the kinds of electrical storms, Wait, hold on a second. Let me find a video or electrical. Dun dun dun. Let's see. This is what I think we live on that. Where is the... Are you seeing that? No, you're not seeing that. Here we go. Put me back here. Let's see. Electrical. What? Oh. No, it's in a different folder. Hold on. I'm going to have to scroll for a moment. The trees made everything. The gold, the silver, the iron. It's provable, and I'm going to show some very compelling evidence. Scrolling. Yeah, and anyone who wonders, like, basalt, like, this is what lava looks like. Well, it's not going in order. Never mind. Forget I did that. Sorry. Can't sort that out right now. I have some amazing pictures of electricity around volcanic activity, and I can't find them. Never mind. Forget I said anything. Yeah. All right. Never mind. No multimedia at this point. I'm beyond multimedia. If the coronation today isn't enough to make you want to get drunk, I don't know what is, right? You're still going at a... Yeah, here I am still. I don't even know what time I started. Okay. It's what kind of brandy? It's not Scotch whiskey. It's Carlos the First. Something sold here in Spain. But it's not cognac, which apparently it has to be if you want to really make Alex Michael happy. Peter Plavis says, hi, Stellium. Hello back. Scottish Arthur. Yeah, I think the Knights of the Round Table, Arthur, I think that was real. All right. Okay. Last chance. Any more questions before I play a final song and sign off? Cheers. Let's hear it for the little people. And the people who can see through the bullshit and would like a better world, one where we're not exploited by a bunch of people who think they're better than us, who think their blood is better than ours, who are actually scum. Thoughts on the Philadelphia experiment? I don't really know enough about it. I think that was about nuclear power or something and changing reality through some kind of effect on space-time or something. I don't know. It's not my forte. Rebecca, cheers to you as well. Cheers to everybody in the chat. How many? It's 114 watching? My do I discuss my theories with my family? Yeah, they know all my crazy stuff. My kids are 19 and 21 and they're trying to figure out reality on their own and you know, consensual reality, and then there's dad's view on things, which is anything but normal. But hopefully that helps them learn how to become discerning people who don't just accept things that they've been told and actually look into them because that is what we should all be doing. There's way too many television watching news believers out there, and if it wasn't for TuneCore, I would finish with Alex's video. That's the best video ever made, in my opinion, musically and videoly. Check it out. Alex Michael, conspiracy music guru, television watching news believer. Somebody is messaging me. My mic is a bit loud. Sorry if I've been blasting people. There is such thing as a volume control, though. Hope there's no distortion. This is a good mic. It should be good. I did turn up the gain, though. Too much gain, maybe. Didgeridoo is levitating paper, not stones. Yeah, you know, you can actually levitate anything with sound. That's interesting. Gets it, you know, like sound waves do this kind of thing. And you can actually, there's people who have levitated water droplets, and just by modulating the frequencies, they can cause them to change direction, and they have full control over them. So imagine something like that on a big scale. So sound levitation is a thing. Cesar technology, like we know laser. Cesar is the sound version of laser. Way more powerful, apparently, than laser technology. Sound is, I mean, the Bible says first there was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. And then the Spirit of God moved on the waters, right? And that was how creation was initiated. That ties into sonoluminescence, which is like this whole star in a jar idea of you know, basically sound creates light. Sound precedes light. Think about that for a minute. Somebody asks if I know what's up with Victor the Boogeyman. He's decided to try living instead of truthing. I think he might be waiting tables, and he's just started a new channel. And I don't know what it's called. Maybe somebody can post it in the chat. And he's re-uploading videos one at a time. And he says if he gets through all the videos without his channel being taken down like the last one, then he'll start making new videos. But he had some very interesting stuff to share back a few years ago. Victor Bouguet, the Boogeyman. I gave him that name. I'm proud of that. Willie in the house. Meister Willie, good to see you, bro. Morning Glory, wonderful mod, OIC, Nora. All right, everybody. I need to go to the bathroom as well. My mic's a bit loud. Why now? People are telling me after I've been streaming for 2 hours. I don't know. I don't know how to turn it down at this point. Oh wait, there we go. Hopefully it's not loud enough now. Yeah, where are we? Where am I? I lost Sobies. There it is. There's the chat. Guess I'm... So, I need to go to the bathroom soon. And, we're gonna... nice expression, huh? Get that off the screen. Where is it? All right. We're gonna go with this. Alex just sent me this today. He recorded this with his guitar, and this is awesome. And it's another version. I'll come back for one final goodbye while I run to the bathroom. Here we go. Oh, wait. No, here we don't go.
Do I really have control of myself? I'd like to think I do. 'Cause if I haven't got control of myself, means other folks do. It is all around if you got eyes to see. The flashing secret signs. See the star machine telling you how to be. They're capturing our minds. My mind's been tangled and rearranged. It's silly that I know. My breath's been baited. I'm so frustrated. There's nowhere left to go. See, I've been jingled, jangled. I've been frizzle, frazzle, caught up in the lie. I've been really tangled and dizzle-dazzled. Someone tell me why. Spells have all been cast, started long ago. We're just pieces on their board. Something has to change, what are we waiting for? You know it's time to take control. My mind's been tangled and rearranged. It's silly that I know. My breath's been baited. I'm so frustrated. There's nowhere left to go. See, I've been jingled, jangled. I've been frizzle, frazzle, caught up in the lie. I've been really tangled and dizzle-dazzled. Someone tell me why. See, I've been jingled, jangled. I've been frizzle, frazzle, caught up in the lie. I've been really tangled and dizzle-dazzled. Someone tell me why.
Yeah, what a world, huh? In a world. Shout out to Witsitgetsit. In a world. Oh, wait, whoa. Starting over. Where are we? Here we go. Well, I hope it was worth the time. For those of you who wanted something better than the coronation. I almost called this video Colonation, COLON, because I think that's where most of that was coming from. The Colonation Day. Cheers, everybody. Let's hope things are getting better. And I hope you enjoyed it. Seeing me with my guard down a little bit. Oh, one thing, I just want to send an apology to Hippie Shake, who I think is still the best mod on YouTube. Called, you know what, I don't even know if Hippie Shake is a male or female, because you can't tell from the name, but I'm sorry, I called you out, and I don't know. Yeah, whatever. Just wanted to do that. And thank you for those of you who like the song. I owe everything to Alex when it comes to the music, but it was a good collab, even though he's probably embarrassed by it. Hippie's a female. Okay, now I know. Yeah. Thank you, Hippie Shake. I know you've always been a supporter, and sorry I called you out when it came to the whole Paul drama and fiasco. Anyway, so I'll be back with some more stuff and try and focus on fun and research instead of drama like my last stream. But I did that stream because I really felt like there was some information that needed to get out that was being suppressed. And I'm not claiming that I know what's true and what isn't, but I think that there are some better theories for what's been presented, for example, by Paul Cook out there. And it would have been nice to have discussed those in a civil dialogue instead of a dramatic shit show. But even though I was accused of being the child in the room, I don't think that was actually what happened. And my live stream, 4 hours on the subject, I think presents ample evidence that that's the case. And I don't regret a minute of it. I do regret, well, actually, that's not true. I do regret some of the spite and the bitterness because I did get pissed off. I wasn't always totally mature when it came to how I dealt with that. I do regret the second video, which I took down after 12 hours or so, because even though I initially wanted to show and share Nikki B's story because he wasn't the only one, or I wasn't the only one who'd had some pretty sketchy dealings with Paul Cook, I ended up adding a bunch of stuff that had more to do with my ego and trying to lash out and get some revenge. And I realized that a short time after, there were a couple people who posted some comments that caused me to reflect, and I realized they were right. And I wasn't able to respond to them because I took the video down. And once you take a video down and you make it private, you can't comment anymore on the comments. So thank you to those who shared their opinions, even though they were against what I was thinking and saying at the time. And we live and we learn and we try and grow and be better people. And that's what I would like to try and do with myself. And so yeah, it's human. We all do it. We slip every once in a while. But I got a little irritated and angry about the way things went down. And so that's what that 4-hour stream is about. But the majority of what that's about is the research and the evidence and counter narratives. So if you haven't seen that video, I highly recommend you watch it. you know, on geopolymers, biogeology, and the great trees. It's the last live stream I did. If you haven't seen it, it's important because there's a lot of narratives being pushed that I don't think are accurate, and I present my reasons why amply. And thank you to those who loved the song. I'm glad you loved it. And thank you, Chaotist. Much respect. You are a true human being, an example to all. Thank you. I appreciate that. And on that note, I'm going to sign off, and I hope you enjoyed the stream. And take care, everybody. Keep your hearts soft, because they do work better that way. Cheers to Alex for fantastic music and entertainment and being my best friend, and I appreciate you in so many ways. Adios, amigos.